of November 16, 2016 to order. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So there's going to be a presentation tonight in regard to school start times. Just in case there's a few people here that want to have an opportunity to do public comment during that presentation. At the end of that, there will be an opportunity for public comment. That being said, is there any other individual here for public comment on any other subject that has signed up at this point? No. Okay. And did I miss anyone? Everyone have an opportunity to sign up that wanted to? Okay. Fair enough. Next item of business is approval of minutes for September 7th.
I move to accept the meeting minutes of 9/7/16 as presented.
Second.
Any comments or changes or discussion? Hearing none, how do you vote, Scott?
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And yes. In regard to the minutes for October 19th.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the minutes of 10/19/16 as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. We only had 3 members at that meeting, so Scott, how do you vote?
Aye.
Abstain. Yes.
Yes.
And abstain. Passes? All right. Next item is a update from our student liaison, Frederick Hanna III.
Thank you. Good evening. It's an honor being a part of this committee once again this year. I love being here and I love this job. It's been an exciting first term for everyone. It's crazy to think how fast time flies. With that being said, I'd like to give you a brief recap of all the new and exciting things going on at the high school. The first term is coming to a close. Report cards will be out online via PowerSchool by tomorrow for all students. On October 12th, the National Honor Society ran a successful mock election for grades 7 through 12. It was the real deal, as students had their own voting booth and answered on the Chromebooks the 4 questions that are on the actual ballot and who they wanted as president. Hillary won in the town of Mashpee, but at the high school, Trump won by a small percentage over Hillary. So, as the high school goes, so does the nation. Juniors and seniors have been successfully meeting with college reps from different colleges at the high school, and some seniors have applied for early admissions into some of the colleges of their choice. On December 8th, the National Honor Society is hosting a blood drive in the gymnasium at the high school. On November 13th, Brooke Bridges, Ryan Boyd, and Justin Chopra went up to Boston this past Sunday for the high school quiz show at WGBH. Mrs. Harple was their advisor. The 3 of them shared an experience they won't forget and had a lot of fun. The recent craft fair on November 5th at the high school was well represented by students at the high school. The girls' soccer team, Key Club, and the class of 2018 were all there participating. It sure was an exciting season for sports this fall, and it is still continuing as the Mashpee Falcons are squaring off against Brighton at Colley Stadium in Lowell at 12:30 this Saturday. The Falcons have had a tremendous season so far and hope to move on to Gillette with a win this Saturday. The golf team won the Division IV South Sectional and moved on to the state finals for the first time in school history. The boys soccer team advanced to the Division IV South semifinals, but lost a tough game to Cohasset by the score of 2-1. As Mrs. DeBoer always says, it certainly is great to be in Mashpee right now. There's so many exciting things to look forward to this year. It's been a great start to the school year, and I look forward to sharing student information with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is a update on the Quashnet School Council from Jane.
You only go by one name, Jean.
Can you please
Oh, sure.
come to the microphone?
Um,
To the microphone, please.
Oh, sure. No, I was speaking. Well, it's going to be brief. I'm really not here, only just to represent the students. So I'm going to let them take it away and introduce to you their latest community service initiative.
Good evening. My name is Jocelyn Cohen, and I'm the president of the Quashnet Student Council. We, along with Heroes in Transition, are co-sponsoring a community service initiative, a service dog for a local veteran. The Student Council is very excited to be taking a leadership role in encouraging our peers to participate in the program at the Quashnet School. With over 500 students who can make an impact by earning right choice tickets for demonstrating acts of kindness every day, we are confident that we can make a great impact for a local veteran. Now I would like to introduce Jack Spencer, who will tell you more about Heroes in Transition and the designation of Quashnet as a PBIS school.
Hi, my name is Jack Spencer, and I'm a member of the Quashnet School Honor Society, Student Council. To train a service dog, it costs $14,000. We, along with a local nonprofit organization called Heroes in Transition, plan to raise that money to train a service dog for a local veteran. Quashnet School is a PBIS school, which means it is a positive behavior intervention supports. At Quashnet, we use the Falcon 5 to reinforce our 5 core values: to be safe, respectful, responsible, ready, and caring. We plan to reach the goal of $14,000 by strengthening our Falcon 5 ticket program to our students. And here's Gabby Santos to tell you more about how this project is going to work.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Santos, and our service dog project will start on Monday, November 28, 2016. Members of the Quashnet School will donate their right choice tickets that they have earned from teachers and staff doing a good deed such as following the Falcon 5. Each ticket they donate, co-sponsors will hopefully give us $1 per ticket, and if we receive 14,000 tickets, that is only enough for one dog to be trained for a veteran. Thank you. Introducing Katrina Mayen, who will be telling you about why we are doing this.
Hi, my name is Katrina Mayen, and I am a member of the Student Council. Why would we want to buy a service dog? It's a great thing to do for our community, and it will reinforce positive behavior for our students. Also, it will provide leadership skills for our student council and strengthen the bonds with our community. Some students see the right choice tickets as a token for prizes, not a reward for doing a good deed. It will also help students help others in an easy way just by donating our right choice tickets.
So, in conclusion, we would truly appreciate the school committee's support with this great project. We are seeking financial support from local businesses and citizens to support this initiative, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
What a great project. Hopefully they can come back and give us an update. You have an update or something else to add?
I do. I just want to add one thing. I'd just like to acknowledge Mrs. Emery for the brainchild here. She's really put a lot of effort into this, and what I really appreciate is her reaching out to the students to take that leadership role. So this has started with Jane's great idea, but she brings it to the kids, and that's really what it's about. So we do have great leaders at the high school, and they have so many opportunities. So thank you, Mrs. Emery, and parents and students, of course. So thank you for your time.
Thank you again. All right, next item is presentation on the school start time from Mr. Moore.
So I'm here tonight to present the work of the Mashpee School Start Time Committee, many of which are here, and I'm very grateful for the time that these individuals put into our meetings. We started in November of 2015 to explore this topic. I'm going to kind of take off what Katrina said, was starting with why would we form this committee and why are we going to end up with a recommendation to the school committee. And it is all in what is in the best interest of our adolescent students, our 7 through 12 students, based on the research. So behind this is really striving for wellness for our students. I'm assuming if I touch this, it's going to This is just who was on our committee. We tried to make sure there was a broad representation. The parents were pulled from the school councils in each school. Teachers from each school are part of it, the administrators of each school. We have a pediatrician. We actually had a couple, but definitely Dr. Edwards was more of a regular member of the committee. We had 2 school committee members early on with the research, and then they sort of backed away. And we had our athletic director involved to make sure all of the aspects of athletics would be something that could be managed if we recommended a different start time at Mashpee High School. And we also had some community partners with the Boys and Girls Club, Mary Bradbury with the rec department. So in terms of why, there is quite a bit of research out there. We did create a blog where we tried to gather some of that. We didn't put nearly all that's out there on that site. So typical teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. According to our pediatrician, lack of sleep is considered an illness, and I don't really think the lack of sleep issue is, isolated to adolescents if we look at some of our own adult worlds in terms of lack of sleep. The hormones that regulate sleep make it difficult for a typical teenager to fall asleep until after 11 p.m. and to wake up and be alert before around 8 a.m. And so even if, and this is just sort of the average, the norm. There's going to be kids that, are easily able to go to sleep, but the bulk of that age group can't really slow their brains down until very late into the evening, regardless of whether they had a heavy load of work going on that night or not. Lack of sleep has serious repercussions on teenagers' physical, mental, and emotional health. Sleep deprivation among teens is linked to depression, anxiety, susceptibility to illness and injury, irritability, car accidents, stunted growth, and even obesity and diabetes. Researchers have found that sleep deprivation in adolescents leads to increases in so-called risky behaviors, including substance abuse, suicide ideation, suicide attempts, and suicide. Sleep deprivation lowers impulse control and reaction times, which is important for our youngsters who are newly behind the wheel. Student athletes who do not get at least 8 hours of sleep per night are at a greater risk of sports-related injuries, 2 to 3 times higher risk for each additional grade in school. And lack of consistent sleep negatively affects students' ability to think and learn. So after a year-long looking at this topic, and in the spring we did do some surveys, and at that time we had various options laid out to gather some feedback on. One of the things that we did hear from parents is if they had older children who needed to be home for when the younger children arrived. So therefore we weren't going to look at flipping middle high school with our elementary. So the current proposal that we have arrived at as a committee is that the Mashpee Middle High School would start at 8:30, their day would end at 3, and for the Quashnet and the Comm School, they would start at 9 and 9:05 respectively. They're on the same bus run. In terms of our neighboring districts with elementary schools, because for this district, the 8:15 start time at the elementary level has pretty well been here for quite a while. But in comparison, in Falmouth, and yes, we don't match up exactly with other schools in terms of our grade configurations, but you'll see that in Bourne, Falmouth, Barnstable, Sandwich, they do have elementary students who start at 9 o'clock. So for them, that's what they're used to. That's just not what our community is used to. In terms of neighboring districts in their middle high school times, Sturgis starts at 8:20, and the other, Falmouth, Bourne, Barnstable, Sandwich are all early starts, and Nauset is an 8:35 start for their high school. They're not all. Sandwich is the only other, I think, 7 to 12 schools. In terms of who's exploring the topic, we have all of these different towns. Barnstable, Bourne, Falmouth are definitely exploring it. I actually went to a regional planning meeting that the town of Falmouth had in terms of their school start time work. Some of those other towns are discussion. Monomoy already has voted for their change for next year. Nauset is already in place, and Wareham is not exploring. So when we arrived at what we thought was going to be our recommendation, we then decided or looked at what we needed to do to make that happen in terms of sort of the infrastructure and supports in the district. Adding 2 additional buses that are already part of our fleet to the MMHS run. We're trying to keep those shorter. Redo current routes to ensure shorter routes no longer than 30 minutes. I will say that we have started the process of examining every single bus route morning, more so than the afternoon. Mrs. Lyko, thank you, she's riding buses for quite a while. And although it may be a little bit hard in some respects, we are going to be shifting some bus stops to more group stops. What has happened is we have many stops. So, you no longer kind of get a child on and then you're stopping again. So that has added to the length of the runs. It doesn't need to be that way. We do need to tighten that up. We don't want kids on the bus a long time. So regardless of how the vote goes on this, we're tightening up our bus schedule. So this has really helped us to take a close look at that. Our goal is for the MMHS students to be picked up at about 7:55, might be 7:50. I know now when I go to the high school in the morning, their day starts at 7:30, but those buses roll in at 7. And they're pretty much all in there by 7:15, and they have like all their time in the morning. So I really think that we can do this, have them start a little later in the morning in terms of when the bus picks them up. Just my own aside related to that is parents really need to have your kids at the bus stop I'm preaching to the choir here, but 5 minutes before the bus arrives. Because the bus should not have to stop, wait for Susie to come to do the kiss at the door, come out, get on. And when you multiply that by all the stops, it's not very efficient. So we really do need to work on that. That's the second. All right, we would schedule staff meetings, PLC time. They usually are always on Monday afternoons. We would change those to a before school time to be determined by the staff at the school. Maybe they want to do a before school meeting on a Monday, but maybe they'd rather have it on a Tuesday. So that would be a decision that the staff would make. But what that would do is free up Monday for other opportunities for after school or for sports where we don't have that time taken up by work that the teachers are doing. So instead of just the Tuesday to Thursday, we could add the Monday. Revamping the school day schedule at MMHS to provide a daily period for clubs activities. So part of the feedback we received from Tana O'Brien, who's our student rep on the committee, as well as some other students, is our very highly scheduled students who take a lot of AP classes and really are pushing themselves have a lot on their plates. So what we were trying to do is just find a way to build some time into the day for those students to do some of the extra work that they would need to do, and also a period of time when clubs could take place so that you don't have to choose between key club and your sport. So what we've tried to do is come up with an end of the day block for that. Also part of what Mr. Balistracci is doing, Principal Balistracci, is revamping to a block schedule where students would have a longer class. They would take 4 classes each day. But on a white day, they have 4, and on a blue day, they have 4 different classes, and then those 4 rotate. So whatever you have first period changes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's part of our change as well, as a way to, also it would decrease transitions and give kids a little bit, not that we're trying to have them have the college experience, but we all know that when you get to college, you don't meet every day for 50 minutes. Is this not moving? Okay. Another thing in part of what we need to do is to begin bus runs for Quashnet and KCC as soon as MMHS is dropped off. So like I say, if they can be dropped off around the 8:15 time and we're pulling right out, we feel that we can accomplish the run for the elementary schools. We would be providing before school activities at the Quashnet and Coombe School. This is something we've talked to Mary Bradbury about with her rec department. She already has a program in place that provides childcare at the elementary level. We are going to support that financially. We're going to partner so that there is not a financial burden to families that now have to put their child somewhere because their school day doesn't start till 9 and you have to get to your job. Whether it's in this school or that school, this school, we talked about having a little bit better of a setup with the CAF and the gym, but rest assured that if you are a parent of elementary school student, we will take care of supporting you with the change of the start time. One thing about Mashpee that I think is pretty amazing and what makes it one of the great communities is there are no fees. Your children do not have to pay a fee to ride a bus. They don't have to pay a fee to participate in sports. And our changing the school start time at the elementary level is not going to add a financial burden to your family. So we're going to do whatever we can to support the families. We're going to maintain our after-school programs at the elementary schools. Could be a little glitchy with the lateness of it, but we will figure that out. And then teacher work days would be adjusted. Obviously, that's something that we'll be working on with our teachers, but teachers at MMHS probably would have a day that starts at 8:20, 10 minutes before the official start of the student day. And same with Quashnet and Coons. They would be 10 minutes before the start of students. And then on Monday, we were playing around with whether the Monday half days would flip in some way, but we decided to leave them as they are if they get added to the calendar, so that we would still do professional development in the afternoon. But what I would propose is that the staff would come an hour earlier than their normal time, because normally on a Monday they have to stay an hour later, so we're still getting the hour. They would come early. This would be the start time for kids. So the high school kids would still do their 8:30. They would get dismissed at 11:50. And so teachers would have done an hour in the morning, and then they do an afternoon segment, but they would end at the normal end of the school day for kids. So they're not staying that extra hour at the end of that day. And that way, that still allows for the child care between rec department and the Boys and Girls Club for those half days when parents are working. Complicated. We have resources available. I'm sure most of you have probably visited the blog, but they're all available. These are things that when we met in September, we decided what did we need to do to make sure we could start to really get everybody as informed as possible about what we had learned and sharing our learning. So we did create an informational brochure, which I have some, so that it's a trifold brochure. Then we decided to make sure we started to share out. So at open houses, we had a person from the committee there. In 2 cases, it was a parent, and in another case, it was one of our teachers. There was discussion at the elementary PTO meetings, usually done by the building principal with those organizations and whoever came. Staff meetings and school council meetings. In September and October, the principals discussed the research and sort of the recommendation we were planning to make. Mr. Principal Balistracci met with his advisory council, which is made up of students grades 7 through 12 or 8 through 12, 7 through 12, to make sure that they understood what the ideas were and what the thinking behind it is. And we planned 3 district-wide parent meetings. One was at the Coombe School, Quashnet School, Mashpee Middle High School. It was similar to this. We went through the PowerPoint, and it was an opportunity for parents to ask questions, and hopefully we were able to answer them. I've tried to make sure everyone knows to go to the blog. I think I put it in every Friday to make sure that you are looking, and I have been open to any emails or conversations people want to share with me. And then we just finished creating this informational video. In fact, I just saw the final version today. And what that's going to do is it's interviewing, well, myself, Crystal Balstracci, Brian Brody, he's a teacher at the high school, Dr. Edwards, and a couple of parents. And then there's some other statistics, and we're hoping to have that air on Mashpee TV. Very shortly, I can also send out a link so everyone is able to see it if you don't happen to catch it on the TV. And so then we brings us to tonight, which we are presenting to the school committee and making the recommendation to change the start time actually at all 3 schools. And then hopefully over the next 6-7 weeks, opportunities for further discussion by the school committee and members of the community, and they would be taking the vote in January. If it were to change, it would be a change that we would hope would be implemented in school year 17-18. So, at this time, if there is any member from the school start time committee that would like to add anything that I missed, or if there's any parent who would like to come up and share your perspective, your thoughts, you are more than welcome. You are all part of the committee, even if you didn't attend the meetings, because it's Mashpee and we make decisions together. So anyone who would like to speak is more than welcome to come up to the table.
And I would just ask you come to the microphone, state your name, and we would like to try to limit these to 2 to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is David Gomes, and my daughter's in 5th grade. Like I said, I told the start time committee at a couple of meetings I went to, I'm all for this, you know. I understand there is an issue and stuff like that, and feeling better about. The only thing I'm worried about is the cost to us, is if it does change. That's the only thing, is to put my daughter in a daycare program in the morning. If we had to pay for it, it'd be like $1,200. So that's a big step for us, and we really can't afford it. Like I said, I understand there is an issue and something needs to be done, but it's just, you have to look at the ripple effect too, that with our jobs, my job, what I do for work is heavy construction. I can't hold up a multi-million-dollar paving job. They're gonna put someone else in that seat, and if I'm late to work, I might even lose a day's pay. But if we can come to some kind of agreement or conclusion, I'm all for it, and I do commend the Start Time Committee. They've been more than helpful, very nice, and either way it goes, we'll support it no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gomes.
Good evening. My name's Dory Kondracki, and I'm here to represent the Falmouth Mashpee gymnastics team. They're a co-op team that was started, we're in our 4th year, so 3 years ago. We've made it to sectionals, which is our playoff the last 3 years. We've made it to states, but we co-op with Falmouth, knowing that Falmouth is looking at changing their start times. We're coming up against an issue related to when we would practice as a team. Our proposed time would end at 3 in the high school, and by the time we can get the girls and boys over to flip-flops, which is where we practice, would be about 3:15, 3:30. The rec classes that flip-flops holds, Coach Shaylee Pyers, starts at 4 p.m. And that is her livelihood. That's where her career is. So for us to be able to practice, we run into the problem of her recreational classes and our team. The other issue is if Falmouth does not change their start times, we're starting at 2 different times. And that also creates a problem because getting both sets of gymnasts to the gym, being able to work together all by that 4 o'clock time. Currently, they practice 4 of the 5 days to prepare for their competitions. So we're asking that you consider that. As a parent, I see all the research as good information for our children, but this one team, obviously, it will affect greatly. So if you could consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Did you want to read that letter?
Oh, yeah, I do have an email here from Elizabeth Whittle. Says, I'm unable to attend the meeting this week in regard to changing school start times. I have 2 children in the Mashpee Public Schools. I have a 4th and a 6th grader. I'm 100% opposed to changing school start times. While I appreciate the current research in regard to child sleep patterns and alertness and preparedness to learn, as well as the relation of those things to proper sleep and schoolwork, I feel the changing of start times will put a huge burden on many families, including trails off here. Our home consists of 2 full working parents. I'm a nurse practitioner who is expected to be at my office at a certain time daily to see patients. My husband is a police officer expected to be on the road by 8 a.m. We currently have it set up so that I get the girls on the bus and zoom off to Hyannis. I know this isn't your problem, however, it is a big problem for myself and for many other working parents. This was brought up to Ms. DeBoer, who stated early care would be available for around $80 per child per week. That is a huge financial impact on myself and many families. In addition to the cost of before care, the number of children who need this would increase. So the point of this change is for children to sleep and rest for school and to be home with the families in the morning, yet more children will be getting up to go sit in the school cafeteria. That is ridiculous. Another issue I see happening is the congestion of cars and buses on the roads between 8 and 9:15 a.m. I drive to work at that time, which is usually when the last bus heads to school, and there is a ton of traffic. With this change, more buses will be on the roads during heavy traffic time, again slowing everyone down. I have 2 athletes who eventually will be impacted by this change. Later times cause these students to have to be let out of school early, so they will miss late day classes. Again, seems ridiculous. Sports starting later causes children to get home later. This prolongs bedtime routines. I feel it's the parents' responsibility to get their own children to bed at a reasonable hour. Take phones, TV, devices away after 8 p.m. Make your children read. That will exhaust them. Kids are overstimulated. I understand medically children's brains stay up later. However, for decades, school has been starting early. The real world of life and most jobs start early. I feel this change is just one more way we're coding these kids. Life is fast-paced and they need to learn to keep up, work hard, and be realistic. I am completely 100% opposed to the school start times changing. I think Mashpee needs more buses to shorten long routes so the kids aren't on the buses so early. I live a mile from the school and my kids ride home for an hour. Does that make any sense? I would rather pay more in taxes for more buses and shorter routes than pay for my kids to sit in the cafeteria for before care. Please consider my thoughts. It will be very hard for working families to adjust and make changes. Thank you, Elizabeth Whittle. Okay. If there anyone else in the public who has comments in regard to the change in the school start time, I would please ask you to either reach out directly to Superintendent DeBoer or a member of the school start time committee or to the Mashpee School Committee. And we'll be discussing this at the meeting in December. Okay? Thank you. Next item is report of the business administrator.
Nobody cares about that. All set?
All set.
Budget to actual, there hasn't been too many changes. There was on page 10, page 10, the Quashnet School, there was a couple of transfers that were made in error, and they will be corrected. I'll ask for a vote tonight. If you see on that page, the $6,400 twice, and you can see that it put the balance in the negative. But basically, we're moving on. Everything seems positive this year. The principals seem to have all of the items that they need. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. We are looking right now at the sound system in the high school, in the auditorium. I'll be discussing that in the next few months. And also upgrading some of the microphones in each of the elementary schools and the high school. That's ongoing, so you will see some impact on that. Other than that, everything seems fine. The only other thing is the out of districts. We've backed out our last of the circuit breaker funds, but it hasn't been posted, so it's showing a positive amount, and that is on page the end here, it's on page 28. You're going to see a positive amount there on the balance column of $152,535.88. That should increase as they get the final postings in. So we should see a clear figure next month. The other piece is that we still have some students that are possibles of going out, so that could change. But right now, we're fine. So at this point, I'll entertain any questions on the budget to actual on the appropriation before I move
on. I guess, Paul, I had a question in regard to, on page 17, the sped transportation.
Okay. Question?
So, at this point, you're estimating based upon both actual usage and encumbrances for what you know of through the end of the year that we would be positive 153,000
on
page 17
on the special ed transportation.
Yes.
Yeah, there's two things there that we haven't got bills for. So
Okay.
It's that midday sped transportation and also the preschool. And those tend to be high. And I kind of split those because they're not all special ed students, so I try to do it proportionately against. That's why you see balances not only in the regular ed, but in the special ed. And that hasn't come through yet. We have, I can say, Kathy Lyko, and my transportation expert here, as you all know, we met with the collaborative and we were able to, we're using right now four not full buses, but smaller buses to transport our sped students within the district. Plus, we're going to be able to probably use those 4 buses to transport the students over to the collaborative. So I had them change the way they bill us, in that we're actually leasing, kind of leasing those buses rather than paying on the runs. So we're paying for the time, the lease of the bus and so forth. And it should save us some money. So there could be some positive money there at the end of the year. The answer is yes. Any other questions?
I guess the other one that I had a question on was our legal costs, particularly on SPED.
On SPED?
Yes.
Yeah.
On page 26. And obviously, we can't get into the particulars, but...
Right, and I wouldn't know off the top of my head. I know I have discussed these these were discussed back at the beginning of school, and I can report it out at the next meeting, but we knew that was going to go into a deficit.
Okay.
I know that I'm going to have to probably transfer funds in there, and it's a couple of cases that have been going on, I'll just say, for a long time.
Okay.
So, I didn't make any transfers yet because I wanted to see what that section, we may find money there. If not, we may look to the school committee's legal line.
Okay. That was all the questions I had on that particular. Did anyone else have any other questions?
Great.
Okay, on to grants.
Moving over on to grants, we are starting to get our funds in. Title I funds have come in, and you can see that Title II is still, I'm still waiting for approval on that. It has been submitted on October 14th. DESE will tell you they tend to be slow because they always have people that, not enough people to do the work, so I'm waiting on that one. The rest of them, we're drawing down monthly. They have a new drawdown or grant electronic on drawing down funds, which I'm having a lot of fun with this year. Anything new at my age is exciting. The next thing, again, all the grants have been submitted. Money is in. I'm going to say this once. In FY16, the Medicaid reimbursements that go back to the town, $249,064.
That's an all-time record.
Yeah, I guess it is. We did well this year.
Thank you to Paul in the business office.
Yeah, mostly the business office, the girls in the business office, not me. Any other questions on the grants? And you can see those are entitlement grants, so we're going to get that money. And the last one, the revolving accounts. They're pretty self-explanatory. Most of them haven't changed. The gate receipts from athletics, we do have a winning team, and it seems like when you have a winning team, the revenues go up. So thank you, Coach Treveri. The preschool are the 3-year-olds that are regular students in with the SPED students. So we do get small amounts of funds, tuitions from those students. School choice, we've been expending money as far as infrastructure goes, and if you'd like, I can give a general report on next meeting on what it. I'll give a whole breakdown from this summer, the Camp Falcon, all the way through of the switches and so forth that we've been purchasing. We had to purchase some more Chromebooks that came out of there. So I presented the budget to the town manager. This I want to use for basically infrastructure on those other programs that the school committee deems necessary. Okay. You'll notice that there was The rest of them are Cape Cod 5 private grants, School to Career, which is a grant. And by the way, that School to Career grant, you'll notice it went from $6,000 down to $12. That was to purchase $6,000 worth of appliances for the new Falcon Cafe. And I was talking with Mr. Looney this week. I'm just waiting for the grand opening, as I'm sure you all are anticipating that.
Is there a date on that? I mean,
I haven't got a date yet.
Okay.
We're getting there, though.
All right.
We're getting there. It's going to be
It's beautiful.
beautiful. I mean, it's going to be something else. Are there any other questions? Okay, I have school lunch. The reason why we're a little behind on school lunch is, I think I mentioned at the last Finance School Committee meeting, Gus has been working in the kitchens. We're kind of short of help, so he said as soon as he gets help in the kitchens, he'll be back. I can tell you, I did check today. We were in the black. It's not. I'm not concerned about it, you know. But this goes back to August. This was prior the end of August. So hopefully in the next 3 months we can get some help in the kitchen. He was interviewing today and yesterday. Hopefully we can get some help in there and I can get him back in his office. So he apologizes for that, and as I do. The last piece to this is a transfer. I referred to it earlier in the presentation. It's just a matter of transferring those $6,400 back to that textbook line to take that off. And that was an error on my part. It had nothing to do with the secretary or the principal at the Quashnet School. I need a vote on this.
I move to accept transfer 17-03 as presented.
Second. Just a question,
Yep.
Paul. So are you saying that the committee, and I didn't go back to double check this, but are you saying that the committee approved a budget transfer in error?
No, it was my error. And yes, I brought the transfer forward, and it was made in error.
Okay.
My error, and I'm just correcting that error.
Oh, okay,
To get that line item back in a positive.
okay.
Okay?
That's- Any further discussion? Hearing none. Scott?
Aye. Yes.
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 And yes.
Thank you.
Approved, thank you. All right. Next item is administrative reports from the superintendent.
So we have the report from Principal LaBelle, who's also here this evening from the Coombe School. He has 432 students currently enrolled. It looks like you had a little bit of a bump up there of new enrollments. And I am submitting an article this Friday for the Mashpee Enterprise, so much of what is in the administrator reports is there. So in order to save time, I'm not probably going to talk about as much as I would normally. I do want to just point out that Principal LaBelle has been working with his school council, and they have decided this year they're focusing on the PBIS initiative, the Casey Coombs report card, and school improvement goals, as well as the logistics of the drop-offs and pickups at that school, which is a challenge. And then I just want to point out that Monday, November 21st, so next Monday, is a half-day only for the elementary schools, because in the afternoon and in the evening are when parent-teacher conferences are scheduled. So that's this Monday at both of the schools. We have Principal O'Brien here, and her Quashnet School report is included. She has 518 students currently. She wanted to thank school committee member Chris Santos, who presented a technology safety night at Quashnet for the parents. And I just wanted to point out that the election day, which was held at the Quashnet School, it was an in-service day, seemed to go pretty smoothly. And that on the 10th of November, which was last week, the Quashnet School did an amazing job with their annual Veterans Assembly. And on the 18th, which is Friday night, I believe, They are having the Crazy Hat Bingo sponsored by the Quashnet School PTO, which is always a great event. We have Principal Balistracci here, Mashpee Middle High School. He has 727 students currently enrolled. A couple of things I want to make sure I point out that I know aren't in my article is congratulations to freshman Tess Hatchie on being named the Mashpee Enterprise Athlete of the Week. It probably was last week, a couple weeks ago. He would like to thank Miss Amanda Howe and Kim Palmer. So Amanda Howe works at the Mashpee Middle High School, and Kim Palmer is the art teacher at the comm school, for their collaboration in providing a STEM experience where the high school kids go to the comm school and interact and help to teach them. It's a great experience. And then he also wants to thank the guidance department for organizing and administering the PSAT to all grade 10 and 11 students free of charge. And then we have the report of Michelle Brady, our Director of Special Education. 301 students currently are on individualized education plans, and she has a list of the activities that she participated in over the last month. We have the report of Athletic Director Matt Treveri, and I think much of the information was included in Frederick's report. But the football team did beat Seekonk last Friday night, and they are the South Sectional champions. On to their next game on Saturday. The boys soccer team advanced to tournament play. They won their first round. Sadly, they did lose in the second round, but it is quite an accomplishment and an achievement for that group of boys. Golf was phenomenal at 19-1 this year. An amazing record with some young golfers as well as our seniors. And let's see if there's anything else. So the boys golf won the South Shore League Tobin Division, which is Division III South, Cape Cod, and finished 7th in the states, Division III. Varsity football, I already said, were the South Sectional champs at this point. Shyla Hendricks set the single-season record for goals for the varsity field hockey program with 29. Mashpee sophomore Devon Ford leads Division IV Eastern Massachusetts in touchdowns with 21, and our cheerleaders qualified for regionals. The fall South Shore League All-Stars for field hockey, Shayna Hendricks, Cece Paramate, Shyla Hendricks, and Emma Wise. For boys soccer, Chris Perrone, Felipe Batista, Ryan Boyd, and Austin Gray. Girls soccer is Brooke Bridges and Katie Wellington. Golf, Jake Curtin, Jacob Marks, and Kyle Puchel. And that concludes the athletic director's report. In terms of enrollment on the overall chart, I've already talked about the enrollments at each of the schools. We have 57 students attending Cape Tech. What was interesting when I was looking at this chart is comparing it to last year at this time. So we currently have 1,677 students in Mashpee. Last year, our October numbers were 1,660. And then when I look at each grade level progressing, they all seem to be growing. In comparison to last year, and granted a grade leaves and a grade comes in, but at Mashpee Middle High School, it represents a 2.4% increase over last year's enrollment. At the Quashnet School, it's up 2.6%, and at the comm school, it's down 3%. But they also sent a large second grade class off to the Quashnet School. But overall, it's a good picture of slowly growing. And then I have one other addition into this packet, which had to do with looking at all of the students, all of the residents of Mashpee who potentially could be Mashpee students and where they all are. So there are 290 students that do not attend the Mashpee Public Schools that are eligible to attend. And in looking at where they all are, we have 98 students who choice to other districts. 47 students choose to go to a charter school. 57 students go to a technical school, and 88 students attend various private schools. And they are all listed here, as well as what the grade levels are where these students are. And then the incoming choice, we have 72. And not that it actually coincides, and this was just a quick overview of the numbers, but we have 98 who choice out and 72 who choice in, which makes a 26 student difference. And when I was looking at where the kids were going, we actually have 26 who go out that are at the pre-K K through 2 level. And we do not have school choice at the Coombs School this year. And I don't know the reasons for those students choosing other districts. They could have parents who work there or whatever the reasons are. But our numbers, our choice numbers, could have been higher potentially if we had choice at Coombs, if there were space. So we'll be looking at that closely moving forward as we decide about choice for the future. Does anyone have any questions about any of the information that I shared?
This is good, and it's actually good to see that our declining student population is actually, at least temporarily, rebounded, so a good sign. All right. Next item, any new business that needs to be brought forth to the committee? All right, hearing none. Specifically unassigned and unfinished business, school window update. And heard there was a very long meeting on this.
Yes, Mary Kate and I attended for 3.5 hours a presentation. Patty, and I'm sorry, and Paul Funk, Mr. Funk attended also. He arrived late and Patty left early. Mary Kate and I stuck through the whole thing, not mentioning names. They had a 97-page presentation. At the outset, they said that they weren't going to go through all 97 pages. They did, however, cover, in my count, about 92 of them. They went over all aspects of the windows. There were approximately 8 different styles and types of windows. There were 9 different types of facings that would be put on the building. There were 4 different locks and handles that could be used, and I know I'm missing some stuff, but it was we came down to the point where the Mary Kate and the DPW, I asked them to say which ones of these would they be most interested in, which one of these do they think would be most functional as far as the school is concerned. Principal O'Brien has to live with it, and you know, we do have the DPW forces here that are knowledgeable. We wound up with 4, and we will be going out requesting a firm price to quote for those 4 different options. There are a couple of other things that came up that are probably going to be included in the quote, and the most important one, as far as I'm concerned, was the structural component that they talked about at extent. They're going to have $100,000 in there. I'm sorry I didn't bring the pictures with me, but there is a structural and the beams and the joists of the building at one of the end, and it's really kind of rickety there. And they suggest that we have a structural engineer look at that before we go through with the full project. So that would add a little bit of cost to it. We do have a date for the joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen. That is going to be on the 14th of December, more than likely at Town Hall. That has not been confirmed with the Board of Selectmen, but it was agreed with everybody that was at the meeting, mainly because we have to get our proposal in by the 21st of December in order to make this year's go-around. The styles and types of windows and all of that will be decided. They will come out with the quotes. We will be having at least one more meeting prior to that to see if we can finalize it a bit down more for the bidding process. I think that's all I need to say about it at the current time. Principal O'Brien or Paul, anything else that you think we should add?
I think you've covered it.
Thank you.
Just that, you know, the structural piece, nothing's gonna fall down here.
No, yeah, but it's
It's gotta be repaired.
It's got to be repaired.
I'm not surprised that there's surprises.
It was very evident in the pictures. You can see the damage that has been done that you might not see here. Like the water is definitely coming in, so it's not a question if we need it, it's just what product is going to be the best.
Where is this located, George?
I'm sorry?
Where is the spot located that might need structural reinforcement?
It's kind
In the go ahead, it's 76.
It's kind of throughout what it is these joists that they which are metal, are setting on a plate, and they have to be welded. So it's actually gravity right now, but it's just, and they're throughout the building.
I see.
And just one thing while I have the floor here.
Sure.
When this gets done, this will look like a new building, because all the facade outside, almost everything is gone except for the brickwork. All that facade, all that stucco piece up will all look different. So it's not just replacing windows, pulling windows out and putting windows in. There's a lot more to it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Paul. Anything else?
No, I think ultimately the devil was in the detail, and be curious to see what the latest cost estimate is for this.
They're working on that to come up with what, depending upon the types of windows that are decided upon, the types of outside structures and that sort of thing, we'll be able to hone in closer to a price. Right now, it's just basically speculation.
But
rough orders of magnitudes and that sort of thing.
Yeah. My guess is that the cost won't go down. It'll only go up, though.
I would say that the cost will probably not go down. I think that's a fairly good estimate. Psychic, almost.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Scott?
I just want to make sure that, I assume all of us are available on the 14th, and, I don't know if that's, obviously it's not set in stone like George said, but we just have to make sure we have a quorum there, that's all. And we don't, all 5 of us have to be there, but if we can at least have a quorum. I mean, I can make it.
It's a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So, it's a good point, though. I will plan on being there.
I should be available.
All right. Jeff?
I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay.
We're talking 6:30, is that?
6 o'clock, I believe, is the time that it's
6 o'clock? All right. I had sent Town Manager Collins an email confirming, or asking to confirm the date and time, so I will let him know that everyone here is available on that date. Okay? So that took care of those 2 items. Subcommittee reports. We have Policy Subcommittee. Yes, a bunch of second reads here.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve as a second read, policy JLCD. Want me to do, I don't know if you want me to do a bunch or singularly?
I think we should do them singularly.
Okay, I'll second that. We have Ms. Shakel here if you have any questions.
I know this is the second read, so I wasn't here for the first read. So, this means that, as I read it, that if a child is taking over-the-counter medication, that they're no longer authorized to have over-the-counter medication at school?
No, but hello.
Hi.
Good to see you again. That's why I came, because I knew you guys might have questions. We will still give over-the-counter medications, but they are, and it's this way now, even without these redacted areas, with parent permission, doctor's order, if they're under.
Parent permission and doctor's order?
In my building, preschool through 2, and then grades 3 through 6, we have standing orders for over-the-counter medications for Tylenol, Advil, and Tums. And then any other over-the-counter, those still fall into doctor's order and parent permission, but that's a state regulation, DPH reg, above and beyond this policy.
Okay.
And they're nurse only. Over-the-counter medications are, any medication administration is nurse only.
Right, I'm cool
So-
with that. I just, so the.
Right, it's just, this was to clean up the
Right.
wording. It was actually very outdated and had different people's roles, and kind of reflected it that we had a nurse leader. We don't at this time in the district. So we just wanted to clean it up and make sure it was current with what we actually do. And the state regs say that we have to for our, we'll be coming to you for a field trip and EpiPen renewal this June. Say that we've had to renew and make sure this policy is updated, and obviously we need to do that.
What about allergy medication?
EpiPens
Same.
are
No,
the same.
like Claritin or Benadryl or something
That's
like
counts as over the counter, so it's still doctor's order with parent permission. But although we have standing orders for Benadryl, but we still need parent permission. And those are nurse only also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. I have a motion to approve the second reading and a second. Scott, how do you vote?
Aye.
Yes.
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 And yes, that's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Next one is BDAE, School Committee Norms and Standards.
Move to accept as a second read as presented.
Second.
Oh,
I think I heard Chris on that one. On the second,
I'll take it.
only because he was louder, maybe?
Give it to Chris.
All right. Questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, how do you vote? Scott?
Aye.
Yes.
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 And yes, unanimous. Next one's a second read on BEDH, Public Participation at School Committee Meetings.
I move to accept as presented. Second read.
Second.
Motion by Scott and second by George. Any questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, how do you vote? Scott?
Aye.
Yes.
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 And yes, approved. Next one is BEDH-E, Guidelines for Public Comment.
I move to accept as presented. Second read.
Second.
Motion by Scott and second by Chris. Any questions or comments in regard to this one?
Are we changing it from 20 to 10?
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, the chair has a deference to extend it at any time.
Got it, thank you.
Or I believe similar to tonight where there's a special topic that we wish to allow the public to make comments specifically related thereto.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Scott?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yes. Unanimous? Next item is a second read and vote on BEDB-E, agenda format.
I move to accept as presented as a second read.
Second.
Motion by Scott, seconded by George. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Scott, how do you vote?
Aye.
Yes.
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 And yes. That's approved, unanimous. Next item, George and Chris, an update in regard to Superintendent Search Task Force.
Okay, we had our first official meeting last evening. We had finalized a list of participants in the task force. At the time that we met, we had not. At the time that we met, we did not have any representative from the tribe. And we voted at that point that if the member of the tribe did decide that they would like to join the committee, they would be welcome to so do. We would not go back and redo anything that we've already done. We would continue on whatever we've already agreed to. We would just go forward from that point. And I got home that evening, and there was an email from a member of the tribe whom we welcomed as part of the task force. So there are now actually 14 members. I stated at that point in time that if it came to a point of any type of a vote, I would just be a non-voting member of the task force at that point in time, just in case any possibility of a tie. As you can see here, it is a fairly homogeneous mix of people. They're from all over, parents, teachers, administrators. We have a representative from the town, the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee. We have two people who are either a former superintendent, retired, or a current assistant superintendent. So it's a very diverse bunch of people, all of whom participated, I would say, quite well in the meeting. The meeting lasted just a little bit better than 2 hours. Prior to the meeting, we had sent out a letter to all members asking them to respond to 3 questions. Almost all the people on the committee responded to those 3 questions. We developed a survey from that point on and asked them to vote on which one of these they felt to be the most important. On question 1, we had 18. We asked for 7 answers, that type thing. About half of each of them, which one did you think were the most important? And that formed the basis of the discussion for the remainder of the evening. We arrived at a recommended qualifications for a superintendent, which thank you. Which basically, I guess I can pretty much say that almost all of them agreed on the top answers for each of the 3 questions. There was very little discussion there. Everybody just kind of honed in on the 3. We revised a couple of these for the wording. And voted on these unanimously as the qualifications and desires that we would need as far as the qualifications for a superintendent and what the task force would be looking for as far as a new superintendent is concerned.
What was that?
Yeah, do we want to go on about?
Yeah, so some of the things that we had decided that obviously we need to pass along as far as how the committee's going to move forward. So as we had talked, it's going to be open to the Mashpee School District as long as we get applicants from the Mashpee School District, which I imagine we will. It'll end there unless we do not have anybody that's qualified. At that point, we'll open it up to, general public nationwide or whatever. But for now, we're going to post it just for the Mashpee School District to apply. The task force will take the resumes and applications directly, read through them, read through any that may not be qualified, take the remainders, trim those down to a maximum of 3. From that point, the 3 will be interviewed, and then a recommendation will be made to the school committee on which one the task force liked, And then, obviously, the school committee as a whole needs to go forward and decide which candidate that they want to, interview all of them and decide which candidate they want to go ahead and hire. That being said, again, whether there's one candidate, whether there's 10 candidates, or 2 or 3, we are going to make sure that we vet the process the way it needs to be conducted and just go forward with the ground rules that the task force had set.
The timing on this, we hope to have, we should have any applications prior to the next school committee meeting on the 14th?
December 6th.
Pardon?
6th.
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 It's going to close on the 6th.
It closed on the 6th, and for the next school committee meeting
December.
on the 7th.
Well, you'll have the applications, but you won't have not reviewed them at that point.
We're meeting that evening. Whether we'll be able to get through the review or not, I don't know.
Okay.
But our goal is to present this to the committee by the second meeting in December, and as things usually go, it will probably be the first meeting in January. But the goal is to wind this up as quickly as possible.
Now, I know, thank you, Chris and George. I know that you had reached out individually to each of the school committee members for their input in regard to qualifications. This is the first opportunity that people have, I think, have had to see this summarized list that you have put together. So I would ask if anyone on the committee has any questions or comments regarding these.
We should add that the people that responded, Chris got this job of consolidating. It may not be the exact words that people put in there, but as close as possible to the intent of the individual responses.
And obviously, keep in mind, there are certain qualifications that are not open to discussion, like certifications and things like that. So those are obviously not listed on there because we really don't have a choice in those, so.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that, for example, a CAGS, is that in part of the requirements? Certified leadership degree?
I'd say, I didn't hear that whole sentence, I'm sorry.
Is a CAGS degree a part of the description, job qualifications?
Certificate of graduate study,
Right.
advanced degree.
It is not.
Okay.
No. Masters.
Certified by the state.
Well,
necessary licenses and
yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
I'd like to publicly thank the members of the committee for volunteering to do this and for giving us their time and their expertise.
I would say definitely not a easy job that you guys are going through here. So I commend you on putting this together and getting the task force to come so quickly to an agreement in regard to these qualifications. And so your goal is to get this posted, I'm sorry.
We're posting it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
In-house
Tomorrow,
posting.
in-house only.
And
Okay.
we are not going for the full bore like we would go, if we were going outside of the district, then it would be complete. The other thing I should mention, that we have done this at no cost to the district. There's been no cost to the district. There would be a cost if we have to go outside and do not take someone from in-house. Well, there has been a cost. We bought some sandwiches from last night, so I mean, it's,
And that being said,
Paul
that
will
is
get over it, yeah.
that is one of the
He
big
ate something
reasons.
Paul had one today.
That's one of the big reasons for staying in-house as well, too. Not only that, but, obviously we have, the district's recently gone through a lot of change and a lot of, this, that, and the other thing going on. So it's, if we could stay internal, that, and obviously keep things, going as smoothly as possible, that would be great. Obviously, if we need to go outside, we will, but if, cost-wise, for continuity-wise, and this was unanimous across the entire, you've seen the committee, it was 13 people from all different walks of life. Not one person disagreed with the fact that we stay internal, so that's the direction that we're looking to go.
All right, and so once again, I commend you for your effort. I mean, this is an important decision that the school committee will be facing here in regard to making a selection for a permanent superintendent going forward here, and it behooves us to do our due diligence. So, thank you, everyone.
I do have a FinCom report, if you'd like.
Sure. They're going to give us lots of money?
They're not going to. There have been two things that has happened as far as the Finance Committee and the town is concerned. One is that Paul mentioned briefly, we presented, rather the school department presented a budget to the town manager, town accountant. They went over that, and that was done on Election Day, actually, Election Day morning, and that was presented. It was received, as near as I could tell, well by the town. The other, there is going to be a presentation. It has already been given to the Board of Selectmen, and tomorrow night it's going to be given to the Finance Committee. And it's a 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan as far as the town is concerned. And it goes into great detail as to some of the major expenditures that are going to be facing the town coming up. And what are the possible alternatives, what we might be looking at. Nothing is cast in stone, obviously, but if you have a chance to attend to that or watch it tomorrow night, I think it'd be very informative.
And that's at 6:30?
6:30 at Town Hall.
Okay. Any other subcommittee reports?
I do have one, Mr. Chairman. The last Cape Cod Collaborative meeting in Osterville, or actually the last couple of meetings, I should say, over the last couple of meetings, we've hired a new treasurer. The former treasurer had resigned, and a new new business manager. He had retired also, and the collaborative board is looking into acquiring land, either on Sandwich Road in Bourne, or maybe in another area in Bourne, maybe near